This presentation will be discussing three intervals: the perfect fourth, the perfect fifth, and the augmented fourth diminished fifth combo. The perfect intervals have a very consonant sound. It's almost a hollow type of a sound, or you could call it angular. There's not a lot of character in these intervals, perfect fourths and perfect fifths. That's kind of why we call them perfect, because they don't really have a major quality, they don't have a minor quality. They're almost neutral when it comes to that. That's not to say that they don't have a specific sound, they just have this strange quality to them. Therefore, they can all be tricky to distinguish, like a lot of the similar intervals we've been looking at. Let's start with the perfect fourth. Perfect fourth is equal to 5 half steps, which means that's 2 whole steps plus a half step. We know that a major third is 2 whole steps, so this is 1 half step larger than the major third. When it's written on the staff, we need to make it a fourth, so it must be separated by 2 letters. That would be from A to D, right? We skip the 2 in the middle. So let's look at C, and we're going to jump up 5 half steps, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and that puts us at F. So C to F would be a perfect fourth. On the piano, we would have C, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 to F. And here's what that sounds like. Very clean, squeaky clean interval these fourths are. Written on the staff, you can see how it's a fourth. We go from a space note up to we skip a line up to the next line, so up 4 notes there. Here's another example. If we were to start on, well, we could call this D sharp or E flat. Well, let's go up our 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Puts us there. So we could call this a D sharp to G sharp or E flat to A flat. What we wouldn't want to do is cross the streams and call this a D to an A. That would be some type of fifth, so that would not be a perfect fourth. Or E flat to G sharp, we wouldn't do that. That would be a third, right? Because that's only skipping F in between. So we have to be really careful about which accidentals we use and which letter names we use. On the piano keyboard, here we are, E flat, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Puts us at A flat. Here's the sound of that one. Or up an octave. Is that major? Is it minor? It's neither. It's perfect. So looking at those on the staff here, we've got E flat to A flat, perfect fourth, or D sharp to G sharp. We would not want to use these 2 on the right, because the top one is some type of third and the bottom one is some type of fifth. That would not be a perfect fourth. Speaking of fifths, let's jump into the perfect fifth. It's equal to 7 half steps, not 7.5 steps. It looks kind of awkward, sorry about that. Or 3 whole steps plus a half step. When it's written on the staff, that needs to be separated by 3 letters, of course. So a fifth would be A to E. If we start on our favorite note C and we go up our 7 half steps, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, that puts us at G. And again, on the keyboard, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, there's our fourth, perfect fourth, 6, 7, perfect fifth. Here's what C to G sounds like. Excuse me. Again, kind of a hollow sound there. For comparison, here's C to F again. And then the perfect fifth, C to G. Written on the staff, we see that a fifth is from a line to the second line up, or from a space to the second space up, right? We just skip that 1 line in between. Now, fourth and fifth, we can do some quick half-step math here. Perfect fourth, 5 half steps. Perfect fifth, 7 half steps. 5 plus 7 is 12. And we know that when anything equals 12, that means it's an octave. So these are complementary intervals. That is one thing that makes it difficult to distinguish. So C to G, perfect fifth, G to C, perfect fourth. If I play those together, okay, you got to do it, right? You have to do that, okay? So you want to listen very carefully. Unfortunately, they're so similarly sized, it's hard to say, well, yes, a fifth is a little bit wider than a fourth, but it's not easy to distinguish, like distinguishing between thirds and sixths. So this one is something you really have to practice. Here's what that looked like on the keyboard. Green to green is our fifth, purple to purple is the fourth there. And on the staff, you can see we've got our fifth, our fourth on top of that. When I played all three together, we see that we have a C to a C. There's our outside octave there. Augmented fourths and diminished fifths describe the same interval, it just has different names. So in a way, you can say that these two intervals are sort of enharmonic with each other. The right in between, the perfect fourth and the perfect fifth, it's a half step larger than a perfect fourth, so that means it would be an augmented fourth, right? Or a half step smaller than a perfect fifth, which is where we get the term diminished, if you had watched that previous video where we used the terminology. It's a very dissonant and unstable interval, and part of the reason is because it's equal to 6 half steps or 3 whole steps or whole tones, and that's where we get the term tritone from. No, not King Triton. This actually isn't a triton, it's a trident, right? 3 dents, well, I don't know why they call that. But it does look like a pitchfork, which reminds me of the Middle Ages when they considered this interval so unstable and so dissonant, they actually called it the devil's interval, dun dun dun. And in music, they actually avoided this interval like the plague. Well, and it was the Middle Ages, so they were also avoiding the plague as well. Anyway, moving on. We're going to use our 6 half steps. We're starting on the note C. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That puts us right here. Now we can call these either an C to an F sharp, and that would be our augmented fourth because we're skipping 2 letters in between, or C to G flat, that would be our diminished fifth because we're skipping 3 letters in between. So here is our perfect fourth on the keyboard, C to F. Here's our perfect fifth, C to G. And then right in between there is our F sharp or G flat, which would look like this. You can hear that there's some evil intentions going on there. Let me play that again. It very unstable interval, very dissonant, and this is what it looks like on the staff. You can hear why this is so often used in scary music, Halloween music, because it is so dissonant. Here on the top we have our augmented fourth, C to F sharp, and on the bottom our diminished fifth, C to G flat. Of course, those are both the same interval. So those both will sound as tritones, even though they look quite different on the staff. So C to F sharp, again, augmented fourth. C to G flat, diminished fifth. What if we built an augmented fourth on a G flat? Well, we would have to go up 6 half steps. So here we go. 1, 2, 3. Jump back down. We're still on 3, 4, 5, 6. That leads us back to C again. So because they're both 6, and we know that 6 half steps plus 6 half steps will equal 12, there's our octave, the tritone exactly cuts an octave in half. Some people would think, oh, I would think it would be a perfect interval because it's perfectly halfway. No. No matter which one you call it, C to F, or C to F sharp, or F sharp to C. Okay, they're both called tritones no matter what. There's also quickly of note, there's one all natural tritone on the keyboard, and that would be from F to B, which would be your augmented fourth, or if you wanted to call it B to F, there's your diminished fifth, right? So I'm just using those two white keys. Here's the B to F. So that one naturally occurs on the keyboard for the white keys. Of course, you can play any tritone starting on any note, just like with all of these intervals.